Every single time an athlete jumps or throws or sprints, there's this hidden set of rules pulling the strings. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the physics of performance. This is the science that really separates the talented athletes from the true champions. So let me ask you something. What could a 100-meter sprinter and a shot putter possibly have in common? I mean, they seem like they're from completely different athletic universes, right? One is all about lightning speed, the other is just raw, brute strength. So what's the connection? Well, the answer is that they are both, whether they know the fancy term for it or not, absolute masters of the unseen science of movement. They've mastered the physical laws that control how we move. So let's actually break down what that even means. All right, Section 1, the unseen science of sports. This is all about understanding the why behind the how. See, it's one thing to watch an athlete and see how they do what they do, but we're going to dig deeper. We're going to look at the why, the fundamental physical laws that make their movements so incredibly effective. Now that word, biomechanics, it sounds super complicated, right? But honestly, if you just break it down, it's pretty simple. You've got bio, which, means body, and then you have mechanics, which is just a fancy word for the physics of how things move. So put them together, and it's literally just the study of how physical laws apply to our own bodies. It's about seeing the human body as this incredible living machine. And you can't talk about the physics of movement without talking about the man himself, Sir Isaac Newton. His 3 laws of motion, they were written centuries ago, but they are still the absolute foundation of all sports science. Think of them as the unbreakable, non-negotiable rules of the game for literally every athlete everywhere. Okay, so here's the first one. A body at rest will remain at rest, and a body in motion will remain in motion. The law of inertia. The easiest way to think about it is that things are, kind of lazy. They just want to keep doing whatever it is they're already doing. If it's sitting still, it wants to stay still. If it's moving, it wants to keep moving. So to get something moving, you have to overcome that stillness. You have to fight against its desire to just sit there. And that's exactly what you see with a sprinter in the starting blocks. That explosive push isn't just about speed. It's about generating enough force to overcome their own body's inertia and break free. Then we get to the second law, and probably the most famous equation in all of physics. Force equals mass times acceleration. F equals ma. It's so simple, but it's so powerful. All it's saying is that the harder you push something, the faster it's going to speed up. More force equals more acceleration. It's that direct. And this right here, this is the core principle behind basically every power sport you can think of. Remember our shot putter? Their entire complex-looking technique is designed for one single purpose, to apply the absolute maximum amount of force to that heavy ball. Because more force means more acceleration, and more acceleration means that shot is going to fly a whole lot farther. And that brings us to the third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. This one is it's fundamental. You can't push on anything without it pushing back on you with the exact same force. I like to call this the pushback law, and once you see it everywhere in sports. Think about a swimmer kicking off the wall at the end of a lap. They push on the wall, right? Well, the wall pushes back on them with equal force, and that's what shoots them through the water. It's the exact same thing for a runner. Their foot pushes down and back on the track, and the track pushes up and forward on them. That's what running is. Okay, so those are the universal laws from Newton. But now for the really cool part. How our bodies are perfectly built to take advantage of them. Our bodies are basically living machines, and their secret weapon is a system of levers, fulcrums, and forces. It's wild when you think about it. Our bodies are just packed with these simple machines. The bones act as the levers, the joints are the pivots or fulcrums, and our muscles? They provide the effort, the force. And as you can see here, they come in 3 main flavors. You've got first class, kind of like a seesaw, which you use when you nod your head. Then there's second class, like when you go up on your tiptoes. And finally, third class, which is what you're doing with a classic bicep curl. So looking at those 3, take a second and guess. Which one do you think is the most common in the human body? For all the fast movements we do in sports, throwing, kicking, swinging, which of these setups does our body rely on the most? And the answer is the third class lever. If you guess that, you're right on the money. Now here's the interesting part. It's not actually the best for generating raw force, but what it is built for is speed and range of motion. Think about it like swinging a bat. Your hands only move a little bit, but the end of that bat is moving at an incredible speed. Well, that's exactly how our arms and legs are designed to work. So, we've talked about the physics inside our bodies, but it's not just about our internal machine. The best athletes are also masters of their environment. They know how to use physics to their advantage against things like gravity and friction. And a huge piece of that puzzle is something called the center of gravity, or CG. You can just think of it as your body's perfect balance point. And the really important thing to remember is that it moves. Every time you lift an arm or a leg, your center of gravity shifts. So if you want to master your balance, you have to master your CG. And this brings us to two really simple rules for stability. If you want to be harder to knock over, you do two things. One, lower your center of gravity. And two, widen your base of support. Just picture a wrestler. That super wide, low stance they take, that's pure physics. They're making themselves a solid, immovable object. And then there's friction. Is it a friend or a foe? Well, it's kind of both. On one hand, you absolutely need it. It's the grip on your running shoes, the bite of the studs on your cleats. That's friction helping you out. But on the other hand, it can be a huge disadvantage. Think about the air resistance a cyclist has to battle, or how friction slows down a sliding puck. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword. So if you're trying to throw something or jump as far as possible, what's the magic number? What's the perfect angle to launch yourself? Well, in a perfect world, without things like air resistance, that magic number is 45 degrees. Why? It's all about the trade-off. If you launch too low, you've got a lot of forward speed, but you hit the ground too fast. Launch too high, and you get tons of air time, but you don't go very far. 45 degrees is that perfect sweet spot that gives you the best mix of both. Okay, so we've looked at Newton's big three laws, we've seen how our body is a machine made of levers, and we've talked about handling outside forces. So, what's the big takeaway? Why does all this biomechanics stuff actually matter? Let's talk about the peak performance advantage. The payoff of understanding this stuff is just massive. For starters, you can improve your performance, right? You can actually perfect your technique to get more power with less effort. It's also about maximizing your energy efficiency, which is a total game changer in endurance sports. And maybe most importantly, it helps prevent injuries. When you understand the forces at play, you can move in ways that are safer and put less stress on your body. It really is the blueprint for reaching your peak. So, as you can see, physics isn't just some boring subject you learn in school. It's the invisible coach guiding every single great athlete. And so, I'll leave you with this final question. And it's not about the pros. It's about you. Now that you know these rules, now that you know about inertia and force and the levers in your own body, how are you going to see your own movement differently?